I have stage 4 cancer that has spread to my brain. Now, with the shadow of death constantly looming over me, I have a question. You see, a couple of years ago, I was going through a bit of a dark patch, and I kept thinking, what's the point in storing up knowledge that will disappear as soon as I die? You see, I know a lot of stuff, things that I have taken years to learn, skills that I have spent an actual lifetime learning, mastering. I have a set of experiences that are unique to me, connections that I've put together to make sense of the world. And when I'm gone, they're going to be lost forever. Setting my arrogance aside, that is true of everybody on earth. So what is the point of learning? Because time is short, and everything we put the effort into learning is going to evaporate like a mist. Now, it would be different if I was the sort of person whose knowledge could push the boundaries of human understanding and make the world a better place. But I just know a lot of random stuff. So for a while after my cancer spread to my brain, and it looked like I wasn't going to be long on this earth, my motivation to learn plummeted. I've always loved learning new things, but what's the point in storing up knowledge that's going to disappear as soon as I die? Thankfully, Claire understands me better than I understand myself. She enrolled me on a welding course at the regional college in Ballymena. Now, she knows that I have always wanted to be able to weld, and I've always had ideas in my head for, I don't know, tables and roof racks and mast feet for the canoe and just other things that I could make if I was able to stick bits of metal together. Also, I mean, come on, sparks and fire and noise and heat and danger. I mean, every man should know how to weld, and I do. The evening classes got me out of the house, where I was kind of starting to retreat into myself, and they re-sparked my motivation for learning, gaining a new skill, and learning just for the sake of learning, for no other reason than just because I wanted to. And then my first aid qualifications ran out. That needs renewed every 3 years. And because I'm a first aider at work and as a canoe coach, I had to renew it. So I had to spend that weekend away renewing my outdoor first aid course. So it was great. It is a legal obligation. I hardly ever have to use it, but I'm just interested, and it made me interested. After that, I took on a placement student at work. I was mentoring him, and I was sharing my experience and helping him to transition from the usual placement student activities, you know, making coffee and typing up documentation, to get him making actual useful code changes and automating projects in work. My motivation, and with it my mental satisfaction, just kept on growing. I signed up for the Presbyterian Church's Accredited Preacher scheme. Accredited preachers are Irish Presbyterian churches. They're a bit like lay preachers that's more familiar in Anglican churches. So I had completed the Handling the Word course a few years before, which I highly recommend if you're doing any sort of Christian teaching, Sunday school, youth group, Bible study, anything like that. But it's a pretty big step to go from there and doing that to taking a whole church service. And it's certainly not for everybody. But as Christians, it's important to be able to explain what we believe to other people. And I decided that the one way that I could do that was to become an accredited preacher. For the training, we had to complete a few written assignments. Nothing very academic. I mean, my biggest problem was keeping everything down to 500-word limit. And yeah, I know, I hear you muttering at the back, if he had kept this script to under 500 words, we could have had this video done in half the time, but that's aside. The assignments were useful to get us thinking and to make sure that we're not a complete bunch of heretics. After the written assignments, we had an intensive week of teaching, and that was amazing. Like world-class lecturers and teachers using what the Bible teaches. They used the prophets, the priests, and the kings to explain how everything in the Bible just hangs together, how it all makes one cohesive story that points entirely to Jesus and shows his plan to save us from the fate that we totally deserve. There were also lectures on leading worship, how to actually preach, and even how to take a children's address. Here's one of my first attempts at taking a children's address. If I take this, and I very carefully stuff it into my fist, right? I'm just going to keep squeezing it in until you can't see it anymore. Okay, it's still there. I'm just going to stuff it in, right? And then, I don't know what you do. You wave your hand over it or something, and then I open up my hand and it's gone. All completely gone, and there was nobody creating wee preachy clones. They were just giving us loads of great advice gained through decades, centuries of experience. I actually wish it had been spread out over several weeks so that I could absorb everything that we were taught. It was just 25 lectures in 5 days, a lot to take in, although I had to skip one lecture to get my heads examined. There wasn't enough time and there wasn't enough opportunity to get to know the other people on the course, and I just wanted more. And after that intensive week, we were given mentors who, let's be honest, they were taking a risk, letting some pretty inexperienced preachers into their pulpits for a few weeks. I landed on my feet. I got Desi Paul in Crumlin Presbyterian. Desi guided me through writing my sermons and leading the services in his church once a month. He gave me very clear feedback that I was able to then take on and improve. And the congregation, some of whom were much more qualified and experienced in these things than I am and will ever be, but they were lovely and they were so encouraging as I stumbled my way through their church services, but I learned a lot. And then after passing my final assessment, I was accredited to preach in Presbyterian churches all over Ireland. It's a big challenge, but I am looking forward to the opportunities that it provides. So what have I learned? What is the point in storing up knowledge that will disappear as soon as I die? Well, the knowledge doesn't need to disappear. It can be passed on from person to person. And I actually think it's a responsibility to do that, which is why I do my video shorts going through the book of John, one verse at a time, 1 minute at a time, every day. I've spent time working out where life fits into the grand scheme of things. And the conclusion is that there is nothing more important than knowing Jesus. That's why I pushed ahead with the Accredited Preacher scheme. And that's why I do everything I do on YouTube. I don't know how long I've got left. It might be less than a year, or the immunotherapy and radiosurgery might keep me online for another decade. As long as I'm here on earth, I plan to keep learning new things and fully aware that when I die, all the knowledge I've gained will die with me. I plan to share that knowledge, the knowledge that I have, with anybody who listens.